Hello, we're here at the Shoe Healer in Doncaster, and our customer has sent us his Crockett Jones in because he has a little bit of a problem with them. He sent a Crockett's in and he sent a pair of Trickers in. Now, I'm not sure if the gentleman's bought these new or if the gentleman's bought these off some sort of marketplace, eBay type thing, and has got them and is having problems with them. But they are beautiful shoes. These are Crockett Jones, very expensive shoes. It's got the original Crockett Jones sole on there. It does look original. I don't know that these have ever had a repair, but he's having problems with the heel. So what the shoe's doing, look at this, just look at that rock there. Look, you see that rocking? Yeah, so what happens is when you walk on a shoe like this, as you put your foot down, you clonk over as you're walking. And to be fair, on some shoes, if you're a big enough chap, you will sort of break that shoe down a little bit and you will get rid of that quite quickly. I've had it on some shoes myself and it drove me nuts. Probably I'm a bit heavier now and I might flatten that shoe out. But at the time, I got this clonking across like this. So looking at that shoe, look at the heel stack, and when we look at the heel stack there, it's very parallel. Come in here and have a quick look, or zoom in. You see how it's very parallel, that heel stack. And when you look at something that is nicely balanced, like this Trickers here, and we look at the heel stack there, you see it's wider, slightly wider at the back, and it tapers down. And that Trickers sits there nice and level, just as we like to see it, and that will be really lovely to walk in straight from the off. This Crockett's, would it bed in eventually? It might do, but what can we do for the customer? So what we've done is we've taken the heel off and I've machined the heel stack down a little bit just to see where we're at. And then I put a heel on and I tried again to see, and this is slightly better, but it's still got some. So when I put the heel flat on the counter and I put the shoe flat on the counter, we get this gap at the back. Can you see that gap round there? That's the little bit of the angle that we're trying to get rid of. So what we've got to do is take another lift, attach that lift onto there, machine it down at the front and leave the full width at the back. And if that's not enough, we'll go to another lift. This is a similar size shoe from Trickers, and when I put those two together there, look, can you see the difference? Can you come in there and see the difference in those heel stacks? Now this on the Tricker, their heel stacks on the Tricker, it's a bit big, it looks, but it's a country look. It suits the shoe perfectly. This Crockett's is a little bit more refined, so we don't want to go as mad as that heel stack, but we want something that looks nice and feels nice for the customer to walk in. What we can also do is just take a slither off the front of this day-night heel. So this video is going out to our customer as well, and he will have on there, a day-night heel on there will be £35. The fact that we've got to bugger about with it a little bit and put him an extra lift in there is going to mean to get these to perfectly balance lovely like this Tricker is going to be £45 for him to get that right, just as it should be. Normally just a straightforward day-night heel or commando heel or that type of heel is about £35. So to put those Crockett's right, we're looking at £45. Now the customer has asked me to send him this video, this message, pricing these up, and I've actually started them, so let's hope he wants them doing. Now the gentleman sent us another pair of shoes as well, a pair of older Trickers, and I think this is Cordovan. Lovely shoe, and look at that, just look, can you see that? Just get in there, look. He's got exactly the same problem with these. How unlucky can you get that he's got two pair of shoes, both doing this, what me and Paul call tab ending. It feels like you've got a tab end, a cigarette butt, caught under the front of your heel, and it gives you a right strange sensation. It's what we used to call it, wasn't it? Tab ending, yeah. So these tab ending like that, look, and this gentleman is saying, even on this soft sole, this Gumlite, Vibram Gumlite sole, is getting this effect. Now a little bit of a problem with this is, of course, there's no heel to take off, but we have a look at the shoe. Why on earth is this Trickers doing this? Well, looking close here, at some point we think these have had a repair.
Somebody's given it the Frankenstein.
They have, and they've really, look how thick and chunky that is there. And if we look closely, can you see that there's a welt, there's a midsole, and then there's a top sole? I don't know if that's coming through there on the camera, but the welt ends there. Then we've got the midsole, and then they've left the top sole on and then fitted. So look there, look, welt, the midsole and welt look close together there, but they're both there. And then this is the original top sole, we believe. And they've stitched through. Yep, took the heel stack off and put that straight on top. Now, it could be that that's what the customer wanted when this repair was done. I want these shoes really beefing up. He could have sent them in just for the gum-like sole, in which case the top sole should have come off, left the midsole on, and then stitched through, and then put the gum light on. But instead, they've left this extra thickness, which is causing a problem at the front of the heel stack. We never have this problem with a gum light unit. So what can we do? What can we do for this job here? Right, the first thing we can do, the easiest way, is to machine this heel down. Machine it down and fit a standard heel onto the shoe. The heel we fit isn't quite as soft as this gum light, but it will sit nicely. So we take out some height at the front of that heel stack, we put a complete heel all the way across, and your standard heel on there is about $24.95. So $24.95, that job is done to make it lose this tab ending there. Look, that horrible tab ending, and that shoe will then sit nicely square, and the gentleman won't get that rocking over feeling as he's walking down the street. And sometimes the insole pushes up on your foot and it feels really uncomfortable, so hopefully that would get rid of it. If the gentleman said, no, let's sort the job out properly and let's do it, this unit has to come off. Once it's come off, it's going in the bin. The top sole that's on there would go in the bin. The midsole you might be able to rescue, and then it's having a full rebuild.
Restitch it back on and...
Yep, restitch the midsole back on, and right, then have a full unit back on, which is such a shame. And all you're going to do is, at that stage, you're going to lose most of that tab ending, probably all of it really, I would think. But you're also going to bring the profile of the shoe back down. Now, I don't dislike this big, thick, chunky look. Tricker's shoes, it looks good, it looks, you know, it's a nice looking, and it definitely will have some weight to it. So our customer has the option, if he has a heel on there, $24.95, job done, and it's quite quick and easy. They're on the way back to him. Or he's having a complete strip down and a rebuild on there, and we start getting towards, with a gum light sole, towards about £90-ish to get that gum light all stripped off, all sorted out, and stitched back on again. So this is the video I'm going to send to the customer, and I've just had a quick look round the shop to see if any other shoes that we've actually got in the shop are doing this tab ending, let's call it. So this here, Tricker's, is beautiful. This Tricker boot, absolutely lovely. This one here, look at that. That's a brand new shoe. Brand spanking new shoe. Not saying who it's from, you might guess, but it's just not quite right. And that's going to give this gentleman some problems, unless he's a huge chap, and it is a big shoe, and then he will press the shoe down and probably get rid of that. But that's something for us to look at, to see about either sending back or doing it ourselves. Paul's saying he's just done one over here on a pair of Trickers. Yeah, this here, these Trickers here. This is
a Tricker, that should balance.
Look at that. Look at that. That's a Tricker. Slightly, just a tiny little bit. Next to nothing in that. That's had the Vibram gum light sole, and it's had the midsole, and it's not as thick as this chunky Tricker here. As you can see the difference there. This is how it should be, that sort of thickness, and this is how these are here. So that's just something that if you're walking along and you feel yourself with that, with a new shoe, keep going with it for a while. You might bed it in. If not, you've got to have that heel stack balanced up right on your shoes. Right, we've got the shoes done. The Crockett Jones and the Trickers with the Cordovan uppers. And this is now had the midsole taken out and a new unit. And look at that tiny little bit on the Trickers there. But this is now not got that big thick midsole in there. And the Crockett's, there's nothing on the Crockett's. That's just like that on the Crockett's. Look at that, lovely, lovely. Press on the back and you get to see that. Lovely. So these are all sorted out for our customer. The heel stack looks nice and tidy. Can you just see that heel stack in there on both of those? I don't know how the light sometimes makes it look a little bit ropey, but that's lovely, lovely, lovely. So that is the shoes done. Now with this pair here, I was saying to the customer, you know, they've just had a repair somewhere, not the best repair because they've left that midsole in. And the gentleman said, you did them. I said, what? He said, you did them. I said, we did that and let them go out. He said, yep. I said, oh gosh, never. And he said, to be fair, and a lovely chap, he said, to be fair, I asked you to put me an extra stout midsole in them, and you did exactly that. And you told me it would be a problem. He said, you warned me about it, and you said that would become a problem for me, and it was a problem for me. So we were exactly right. But we did do the repair, and we did let them go out like that, hoping that that soft sole would be... it wouldn't let that rocking motion feel so bad, you know, because it was a softer compound. But unfortunately it did. But the gentleman did say we did warn him that that was going to happen, and that's exactly what happened. Okay, so these are all done. These are going back to our customer. All sorted.